last year. What was your process for evaluating the season?
I mean, it's basically the same thing, after every season, we kind of rip the thing right back down to the studs and, get an idea of the things that we did well, the things that we need to improve on. And you really have to take a deep look, right? You have to put your ego aside. You have to, look at exactly the things that you were doing well and didn't do so well. We improved in a lot of areas. I think it was like 24, 25 different areas on offense, but it wasn't where we needed to be. So we had to really go back and say, what are the things that we're doing well? What are the things that we need to improve on? And we took it really back down to, formations, plays, motions, how to snap the ball. What are the snap counts? Do we add things? What are the things that we take out? It's the same process, year to year. And, the different thing for us actually was that we weren't on the road when we first got back. Usually in that January period, you're on the road. So it was a really good opportunity for the staff to have some really good time to get into the cut-ups and to really make an evaluation on both the personnel. Are you using your personnel right? And what are you doing schematically? So we basically broke it all the way down. And, at the end of the day, what it came down to, right, it's not a huge secret. You can't hurt yourself. So our pre-snap penalties we had to fix. I think we've done, a good job of addressing that. We were pretty good here over our first couple days. When we get in the red zone, we have to be able to score. And our execution has to be, our tempo and our execution has to be to our benefit, not to our deficit. So those were the things that we dug in on early on.
Next question comes from Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Dave. I was curious, kind of, what are you looking for from Jeff Sims in this spring and Jordan? And then also, how are the two new faces in your room? Obviously, Demetrius has been on the team, but just kind of, it's a different unit than you had a year ago in the spring. Just how's that looking?
So for the guys that are here, are you taking the next step in your understanding? Do you know where to go with the ball better? Can you control the huddle better? Can you control your cadence? Can you control the tempo? Can you mix your tempos? Can we add new plays? Do you know where to go with the ball right as the ball is being snapped? What is the defense doing? We did a really deep dive at quarterback into just defense and how teams are trying to play us. And, you put a specific play on the board and you say, okay, versus these looks, this is where we're going with the ball. Through the first 2 days, those guys have been awesome, really awesome, really understanding what they're doing. I think a lot more comfortable in their skin, knowing exactly where to go with the ball. I've been really happy with those two guys, just understanding and being able to control the pace of the practice, control, what we're running and how we're getting lined up. Demetrius is, very, very athletic. He's got a really strong arm. We got to polish some things up with him mechanically because he hasn't been doing it for a while, right? He's been dropping back and tackling people. So, but I think, very good athlete. And when he takes off running, he's really, really dynamic. The thing that I love about him is that he knows where to go with the ball. He did a great job of studying during the off season. He was in my office a lot. He asked good questions. And he did not look in the first two practices. He did not look out of place at all. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He missed a couple throws. He missed a couple reads or whatever, but he knew where he wanted to go with the ball. And he's looked really good. Chaden Peary, the thing with Chaden is that he's a football guy, right? So he really understands concepts well. He throws a really, really good ball. Again, not overwhelmed at all, made some really good throws over the first two practices, understands football really well. And, I think Tuesday, a little bit more than today, he was, just wide-eyed, like how fast it moves, where do I go, what's this drill mean, that type of thing. But from an overall football perspective, those guys have been really good.
Next question comes from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, Dave. The other day, Jeff was talking about just how Jeff Sims was getting into last year's film and going over it over and over. And I'm curious, kind of, what were your meetings with him like, and kind of what things did you work on with him, you know, in showing him and teaching him? I mean, obviously you were with the group also, but kind of what was his study and progression in the offseason like?
Jeff is extremely focused, right? He's extremely focused on what he has to get better at, and has spent a tremendous amount of time in the office with me. The cool thing is my office is halfway between the locker room and the cafeteria, right? So they walk by my office all the time. A lot of times I'm not even in there. We might be in a staff meeting. I might come back in there and 2 or 3 of those guys are sitting in there, you know, watching tape. And, you know, we give them a list of stuff, all the cut-ups. We watch some pro tape. We watch some of the other colleges who are running some tempo offenses, and some of the guys that have, you know, done a good thing, you know, done some good things with the things that we're trying to do. And he's absorbed it all in. You know, he's so self-critical that he never wants to put himself in a position where he's making the same mistakes that he made as a freshman. And just, guys, when he first came in, right, he didn't really know a lot of football. And where he is in a year is tremendous. What he did last year as a freshman in a pro-style offense was outstanding. But he was doing a lot of it just on instinct and athletic ability and moving around. Now he's doing it as a major college quarterback. And you can see the difference. You know, he's throwing the ball with authority. He's always had a good arm, right? He's a good athlete. But the ball is coming out on time so much faster because you just prepare yourself mentally over and over and over again. You see the plays over and over and over again. And it's really a tribute to him and all the guys really of being in there. We're playing at a really high level right now. After 2 days, you know, we're not in pads, but just the reads and the throws and the on-time throws have been, you know, really exceptional.
Next question from Jeff Schultz from The Athletic.
Hey, Coach. You referenced pre-snap penalties, which I know Jeff referenced the other day also. How much of that had to do with players simply not being comfortable in the scheme yet? And how much of it had to do with just mistakes and guys?
Well, I mean, we were playing with a freshman Q and a first-time starter at center. So I think it's kind of starts there where there's a little bit of newness to it. We're trying to use tempo, right? So the analogy that I always use is you want to be a race car, right? But if you redline a race car and you hit a turn and you're going too fast, you're going to run off the rails, right? So that's kind of where we were at. We were in the process of going so fast, trying to play with so much tempo that a lot of times we were getting so far out in front of ourselves that we weren't able to just take a step back, right, and really downshift it and kind of get yourself back into a groove. And you know, in this type of offense, you're trying to use a bunch of different cadences. You're trying to change the tempo. You're trying to play fast. You're trying to back it off. You're trying to use a double cadence, a double clap, a double cadence. And you know, a lot of our penalties, you know, were simply that, you know, the change of the pace was causing more problems than it was helping us. Now, when we hit it, we were making big plays because the defense wasn't lined up, right? And so they're scrambling a little bit. But, you know, we had to have a real conversation with the guys to say, listen, you want to push the tempo as fast as you can, but we can't hurt ourselves. And if we just have to beat Louisville, Boston College, you know, North Carolina, whoever it is, we'll have a really good opportunity. But if we have to beat Georgia Tech and the people that we're playing, we're going to struggle, and everybody's going to struggle. So there's that fine line of trying to push the tempo as much as you possibly can and not hurt yourself. So we've done a good job with it. We addressed it. We changed a few things and adjusted a few things on how we're doing some things. But you know, that I want to say that was an anomaly. It has never been that way in the years that we've been doing it. So I think now the guys are more comfortable in the pace and how to run the offense, that I think we'll solve those problems pretty well.
Okay, we have time for a couple more for Coach Patenaude, so we can get the student athletes up here and off to lunch and class. So we'll go ahead and take two more. We'll take one from Patrick Canaro from Ramblin' Sports and one from Allison Mastrangelo from WSB. So Patrick, please go ahead.
Coach Patenaude, good morning. Hi.
Good morning.
One guy you know a whole lot better now than you did a year ago, Jameer Gibbs. And I know it's early. What are you looking for from Jameer and featuring in your offense in the upcoming season?
If I have any brains, right, we'll swing it to him, we'll hand it to him, we'll screen it to him, we'll speed sweep it to him, we'll direct snap it to him, right? I mean, he's got to be able to, he's the game changer. He's very, very dynamic. When you guys are actually able to come out and see us in person, I mean, he's put on weight. He's got muscles on top of his muscles now. And his understanding of what we're doing is really, really good. So when you have dynamic players like that, you have to be able to put them into the best positions. And, he was really, really good coming out of the backfield. Actually, the play that he hurt himself later in the year was, we checked it down to him on a little running back option route, and he broke the thing for like a 50-yard gain, right? So you look like an unbelievably smart offensive coordinator when you drop the ball off on a 3-yard pass and the kid goes 55 yards with it. You're like, wow, what a great call. But it's those guys just being able to execute. So he gives you a different dynamic because you can move him around. You can do a lot of different things with him. And that running back group is very, very deep. So I'm excited about what they've been able to do.
And our last question comes from Allison Mastrangelo from WSB TV.
Hey, I was curious, is it fair to say that Jeff Sims will be the starting quarterback this year, or could we see another quarterback battle?
I think Jeff's pretty secure as a starting quarterback right now. The cool thing is that Jordan Yates, Demetrius Knight, and Chaden Perry all give us really good depth. And you could see Demetrius in some different packages and things like that because he brings a different dynamic. But I think, the overall development of Jeff as the starter has been really, really good. If he plays to his ability and, we continue to play to his strengths from a play calling standpoint, he could be as good as anybody in the league. So we're really excited about that. And we're really excited about the depth of the guys that we have. I mean, Jordan Yates played off the chain today. I mean, he was stepping up, making plays, dropping the ball in, threw a couple balls of Kark McGowan, our new wideout transfer. Really, really good. So, I'm happy about what that room's bringing. And really the biggest thing that I think overall with those guys is, we're challenging those guys to not only know what they're doing, but to be able to affect other people and to step out and either encourage or get after somebody, get somebody lined up, and really assume that piece of it a little bit more. And I think we're starting to see some of those guys grow into that a little bit more.